I've not read a single Luticia card since she came out.
That's okay.
All I know is that she stands her Vanguard and has a bunch of orders.
Hey everyone, this is Curb and I bring you another standard match today. Once again, on the left we do have Luticia, same player as last time, once again piloting the deck. And on the right we do have our local Dredgewald enthusiast, Darren, playing one of the other three decks that he owns, of course that being Orfist. Now he is a very long-term Orfist player, stuck with the deck since I think like BT1 or something. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's told me this before, but I'm not very good at paying attention. Anyways, using the grade 1 skill to search out the grade 3 order, the one that gives an extra 5k to the Shadow Army tokens. I think it's called Overcoming an Eternity or Adversary or Adversity. It's something like that. I don't really remember it right now. But I don't know if that's the correct pick for Orfist. I'll be honest, I don't really know a whole ton about, the optimal way to play Orfist, but, since Danny has been playing the deck for a while, I'm just going to assume that is correct. We do see this first Vanguard swing being blocked by the Cursed Play Blitz order, giving an extra 15k to the Vanguard, essentially making it an OT pass, effectively doing the same job as a trigger. We see the skill of the grade 1 being used here, putting the card on the top of the deck, even though, as you can read there, we are supposed to put it on the bottom of the deck, but in reality it doesn't really matter at all because we are going to be shuffling the deck anyway. We're going to be adding the copy of the promo Curse Play to our hand, which is definitely going to be putting in some work. It kind of just allows you to tutor out any single card from your soul once you play it. And we see another card here, the Natrista, also being very good with that promo card, because Natrista sets up the soul, and then you can use any of the two normal Curse Play orders to basically fetch out anything from the soul. You can add cards from the soul to your hand, be it like Curse Plays, or you can just, what am I trying to say, add or call, depending on which normal order you use. So we do see there was the Blitz order. We put another Cursed Play into the soul with the Natrisa skill, going to be using the skill of the promo, which is called Wishing Your Happiness, which I'm not going to be saying. I'm just going to call it the promo order. That is going to give us the 3 cursed orders that we need in the soul. Looks like we are just trying to decide what we are going to do. We put what did we put in the soul with the... Okay, so we actually do have 4 orders in there. It looks like we're actually going to be getting the normal order. Or is that the... I think it's a Blitz. I don't quite remember. Yeah, I think it's the Blitz. Adding it to the hand instead. So we still do have those 3 cursed orders, since we put the one from the drop into the soul with the skill of the Wishing Your Happiness. Anyways, we do see a 1 to pass there. It is hit with the heal trigger, so giving all the effects to the Vanguard is going to allow it to break through that guard. And then of course Natrisia is a 25k attacker with those 3 Curse Play orders in the soul, meaning that she is going to be able to even over that defensive draw. Anyways, we see the Cyber Kaitol, I think, being used here, using its skill properly, which is something that I don't tend to do. I usually end up searching the mask and then get the order, but the proper order technically is get your marker and then search out your Mask of Hydrogen. So of course we still do need to play an order for the turn, so we are going to be playing that Halloween Moonlit Night, the one I always just call the dog one. Lets you just Soul Blast 1, draw a card, and then of course your Vanguard skill is going to give something 5k since you did play that set order. Looks like we're just giving it to the Vanguard so that we have a lot of on-hit pressure there. Calling that, its name is Grunder or something, checking the top 7, actually hitting off of it, getting 2 set orders and sending them to the drop zone. So a very good setup for once we finally get into that Orfist, we'll have a lot of very good plays. So we're going to be seeing the Grunder at that rear guard. Definitely a very good play, because that rear guard is very, very valuable for Luticia. We see the Vanguard swinging in at the Vanguard, hitting into a defensive, and the defensive power is actually going to be going to the Natrisia, because it makes a lot of sense considering that that's such a valuable rear guard. So that's going to leave the Cyber Cultile to just attack into the Vanguard, which is going to be blocked with that 15k shield. So a little bit of over guarding there, but at the same time, you know, you don't want to be getting rid of some of your pieces, because a lot of cards in Luticia, the non-shield is basically very, very important. I mean, that goes for every deck. I don't know why I'm pretending that Luticia is anything special. We see, of course, a Soul Blast instead of discarding, playing another copy of the promo order, adding the grade 2. It's looking like we probably don't have a lot of good cards in the Soul right now other than the Curse Plays, and we do need to get to those 4 Curse Plays, which I believe now we have achieved. With the extra Blitz, I think we actually have 5 now, so we're looking pretty good on the Curse Plays. Just calling out the grade 2 Luticia, probably don't have anything better to attack. Just going to be swinging the first Luticia, not deciding whether we want to boost, but looks like we're going to opt to not boost. Going to be taking this attack, are we? Yeah, we're just going to be taking it, checking nothing off the drive check. We get a Persona Ride. We see a heal trigger being hit off of that defensive there, so basically just countercharging one. Swinging in the grade 1 Luticia at the Grunder. I'm not sure if Grunder has another effect after, you know, his mill effect, but, you know, if it did, we probably would have intercepted with that Cyber Cultile, right? Anyways, the Nostriza is going to be swinging in, still can hit over that defensive. We're going to be guarding that for just a 15k. Vanguard's going to be swinging here, seeing nothing off of the drive checks, but we are going to be using the skill of the grade 1. Since we do have the 5 orders in the Soul, we can add 2 of them from the Soul back to our hand, which is normally you wouldn't want to go down to what's it called, 3 orders, but at the same time, you know, you can easily put them in there next turn. And if you see Orfist riding up, putting the Overcoming into the order zone from the drop zone, and then going straight into the Orfist Mask. Checking the drop zone, looks like we've got another one of the dog promo or dog set orders, but looks like we're going for Polarix to Soul Blast 1, and then put an order with a different name from any of the cards in the order zone. We're going to be putting that in the Dim Darkness. Nobody knows. It's actually not Dim Darkness. I just confused those 2 orders. Using it to retire the Nostrizio there. I'm not sure if Orfist tend to play in the Darkness. Nobody knows. But it is definitely a very good tech, at least from where I'm standing, just because a lot of cards in Orfist do specify, like, you know, with a different name. So being able to play as many different name set orders, or not as many, but a wide variety of different name sets orders, just leaves you very open to getting a ton of orders into your order zone. So anyways, we see the 2 swings being blocked here, swinging the Orfist, retiring or calling 2 by sending 2, and then the Overcoming the Eternity is going to be proccing, giving each of those a 5k for each one. Since we do have 2 copies, of course that is an extra 10k. See a critical trigger here, giving it to the Shadow Army token that is on the Dragon Tree marker. Swing for I believe the 2 damage, 5000k before we swung with the 35, unless I wasn't paying attention and we, you know, put it in the other one, but we took 2 damage and then 1. So I think honestly the correct player there probably would have been swing 35 and then 50, you know, just in case there were defensives, because theoretically if we'd gotten a defensive from one of those 2 first damages, the last attack would have been just like a 15k guard. So hopefully what I said was correct. I'm pretty sure it was, and that was just a misplay, so it's not on me, it's on, of course, Darren. Anyways, we do see the Persona Ride coming down here, so she's looking to have a very strong turn here going into this turn, but unfortunately Orfist still is at 1 thanks to that double heal last turn. So it looks like we're playing the normal order curse play, just letting us soul charge 1 and call something out, give it 5k. Gonna be calling out this Yuika, definitely the very good partner in crime to Nostria, allows you to bounce it back and then use it, and then of course Nostria gives you more soul, which effectively just refunds your Yuika cost. We see a Strega being played here, using its skill to Soul Blast when checking the top 5. Probably looking for a booster for the Vanguard, or in all honesty, maybe like just a booster for Strega herself, because she does have another grade 2 in that column, so she is going to be not hitting as hard as she possibly could. But looks like we are actually going to go for a booster. The Yuika, unfortunately, is called after the Strega, so it's not going to be getting its own 5k, but hopefully next turn if we're able to call something into that column, whether we're bouncing the Strega or just intercepting it, getting rid of it for whatever reason, we will be able to get that extra 5k and have an even stronger turn next turn. But looks like we are going to be using the skill of Luticia here, just swinging in, getting an extra 5k, drawing the card, checking the 2 drive checks, getting nothing off the top, hitting into another defensive there, which is going to make our damage potential, I guess, the amount of damage we can push this turn that much harder. And speaking of making it hard to push damage, we see OT being flipped here over as the next damage. So these last 2 swings, even though they are pretty big, being a 48 there, and I think the Strega is honestly getting pretty close, or not 28, because I don't think we're using the skill here to just draw a card. But looks like we're really bouncing both of the grade 2 rearguards with the Yuikas, just taking out those shadow army tokens, and unfortunately not really accomplishing what we needed to do. And now we are looking in a very rough spot here. We're at 4, and Orfist is looking to deal a lot of damage and make very strong swings here. And as you see the Polar Axe Dragon re-putting that dog set order back into the order zone. Looks like we have another copy in hand. I think we have another Regis in hand, meaning we'll be able to set another order from the drop zone. But looks like we're actually going for another Polarix Dragon there to set another one, putting another copy of the In the Darkness Nobody Knows, which of course can only retire front row rear guards. But, you know, we're kind of seeing the power of playing like all these different names of orders here, because of course that did allow us to use 2 Polarix Dragons, whereas if we had 2 of the same order name, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So actually not that powerful of swings here. We've just got 15 and 18. Pretty easy blocks here. This Orfist itself is only swinging for a pretty pitiful 13, as we do see 3 shadow armies called with the skill, the Opart, drawing 2 cards off both Polarix Dragons. And of course, all these Shadow Army tokens getting an extra 10k. So looks like we're hard guarding that with, I think that was 3 units to get like an extra of a 3 to pass or 2 to pass. But of course, we're not actually going to be seeing anything. Taking this first Shadow Army token attack, getting a heal trigger there. So very nice, allowing us to take this second attack, conserving those cards in hand. So once again, Luticia is going to try and go for another very strong turn here. In all honesty, things are looking very dicey. This might be your last chance, depending on how much you can bulk up or how much you can like establish. But being able to push 4 damage through that massive Orfist hand is not really looking very likely. I think the best that we can probably hope for here is pushing 2 more damage, pushing them to 4, and then maybe closing it out in the next turn. The one good thing that Luticia does have going for it is the ability to consistently, you know, Persona Ride, and being able to consistently Persona Ride every single turn is definitely going to eventually wear out the opponent. All you have to do is really just, you know, live to that point. I think we saw the OT that we guarded with earlier being put into the Soul, meaning that next turn we would be able to actually, you know, add it back to our hand, assuming we have another copy of the promo order there. Using the Strega here, calling out that aura, so if that Vanguard is able to hit, we can probably search out, I don't think we've seen Elementaria in the in this game yet from Luticia, so we could theoretically search that out if we do need the extra defense. But we see we have Voldemort being called here, adding another 5k to this entire front row, giving a very strong power boost to all of these attacks. So this first attack swinging for just 43 unboosted, hitting into another heal trigger, so that's definitely very good for Luticia, giving the extra power to that Voldemort, because she is definitely the weaker of the 2. Strega herself can use a counterblast to pump herself by another 10k, so we're making very good numbers here. Just deciding on the discard for that Luticia. And then, of course, we do have a, 51 swing, which probably is going to end up getting blocked because we don't really want Luticia to, you know, get more cards. I think that if you're the Orfist player, you're just kind of thinking, okay, I'm going to block whichever attack has the aura boosting it because I do not want them to get that extra order, just that extra deck thin. Kind of missed a discard there, but we are swinging for 51 here. We do have definitely a ton of shield in hand. I think there's at least one PG there. Looks like we're going to be hard guarding it with 3 triggers for 45. That is going to be 58 with another one that is 63. So that's going to be a 2 to pass. We see a critical trigger being flipped here, giving the effects to the Valdebrosh. Of course, you know, there's only one drive check, so that was a OT to pass. But of course, I think OT is out already. So as Valdebrosh swing for a very strong 58 and 2 damage. Theoretically, we could take this, or we could, you know, we definitely do have a lot of cards in hand. I guess it kind of all just depends on how much CB you need going into this next turn. If you need 2 more, you take this 2 crit, you get defensives, and hopefully make the Strega easier to guard. But if you realistically only need 2 CB, I think you just try and guard this with using as few cards as possible, and then just take the Strega. There is a possibility that Strega just attacks into the Shadow Army tokens, but I think that that's kind of unlikely for, I guess, 2 really good reasons. Like, for one, attacking the Shadow Army tokens doesn't really accomplish that much. I mean, it reduces like the first attack, but outside of that, it doesn't really do much. And then, of course, there is also the fact that Luticia is very far behind in this damage race. They desperately need to catch up. Looks like we're going to be committing a, is that 6 card guard to block this Valdebrosh? Yeah, you know, you do what you have to. So that massive hand from Orfist has actually been super chipped down as we do see the Strega connecting. Looks like we did use the Eureka skill there to bounce the Valdebrosh back to hand, so we have the potential of using it next turn, and also using the other Eureka skill to bounce back the other unit, the Strega. We see Orfist starting off with a Persona Ride, so there is a very real possibility of closing things out this turn. That being said, Luticia was actually able to bulk up fairly effectively last turn. We still have a decent amount of cards in hand, as well as 1 extra damage that we can take. So definitely very feasible for Luticia to survive, but also very feasible for Orfist to just close things out here. Looks like we're deciding if we want to play a card from the hand. It looks like we're playing is that the Moonlight? It's the one that calls an order. I forget what that one's called. It's the one that Video always played. Calling a booster behind the Vanguard, which gets another 10k thanks to the Overcoming. We use the, what's it called? The Polar Axe to put back the Nobody Knows. And then, of course, using the Orfist, removing the other Regius to put the Moonlit Knight. So we could theoretically call a total of 3 Shadow Army tokens here with this attack, calling down another one of those, well, I forget what it says, the grade 1. So technically you are reducing your attack power here. This first swing goes from, 40 to 33. Not a huge difference, but really what it does is it effectively lets you get stronger attacks on your 4th and 5th attacks, because just by reducing your power by getting rid of that Shadow Army token on the first swing, you are making your next swings that much more powerful, especially since they're getting power from the Overcoming the Adversary. So I think we're kind of just checking the number of crits here, because this could definitely come down to a drive check if we have enough to guard everything else. But looks like we are guarding this with 2 5Ks and then the Blitz Order. This other column swing for a very strong 40. That is a 215k guard. Looks like we're going to be committing it to critical triggers there, and then swinging the Vanguard with that very strong booster there. That 25k booster along the Persona Ride is just going to make this a massive 48. Calling out 4 Shadow Army tokens, pitching the 3, and then of course using the grade 1 to call a 4th one. So it looks like it's coming down to this, but out of these 3 drive checks, we did not see I believe there's 1 more crit left in the deck. So we are actually going to be able to endure it. We've got 60k coming out from this rear guard here. Going to be PGing that, and then this other swing is going to be 65. Honestly, that's kind of just a PG or bust number. Let's see. Would it have mattered? Yes, I guess we didn't necessarily need to risk it there. If we PG the Vanguard, and if there's only 1 crit in deck, like we count it up, and you have 2 PGs like we do there, theoretically there was not really a reason to you know, risk it, because you PG the Vanguard, they get the crit, they put on one of the rear guards, you take the one that doesn't have a crit, and then you just PG the one that does have a crit. So I think realistically we really should have only taken that gamble if we didn't have double PG. But looks like Luticia is finally going to their final turn. It looks like they're going to do everything they can to finish things this turn. Fairly realistic, but at the same time you have to push 2 damage through. Honestly, like, that hand is not too bad, but if we can see here, we do actually have 2 PGs, which might end up being more than enough to actually close things out. And with that first 2 drive checks not revealing any triggers, things are going to be getting pretty dicey, as this second Vanguard swing has been hit with a PG. And unfortunately, our last check is just going to be a Luticia. So as long as we're able to block one of these attacks, we do have the turn kind of just locked up, as we do take that first swing, not hitting into defensive, and it looks like we have the last PG to kind of just, you know, seal the deal. So things are pretty in the bag for Orfist. The problem here you do have to worry about is that deck. You cannot triple drive. You can't even persona ride anymore. If we had managed to like not take that 1 damage, we would have been able to persona ride. But at the same time, Luticia is in such a bad situation here. It honestly does not even really matter. We could theoretically just swing with everything on board and then call like maybe even just 1 army token. But we do see the Regius being removed there, calling a new Shadow army token, which is getting another bunch of power. But of course, with the number of attacks that are going to be coming, there's no way Luticia is going to be able to block it. So that is going to be the end of the match. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to listen to things, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.